you roll over and hit that snooze a second time, open one eye to see the clock, you see that it's time to rise and shine. Now, you don't have time for breakfast as that extra 20 minutes of Z time has set you back a little. So what do? You take a quick shower, head downstairs, make sure all the kids are ready to go, and then stop at Timmy's for a quick bagel for everyone and a cup of coffee to go. Once you drop everyone off, you race off to work to your first meeting. At about 10, you feel a little bit foggy, but you push your way through, grabbing a morning muffin to pick you up. At 1 o'clock, you see an email that reminds you of a report that's due for the next afternoon meeting. So you grab a burger and fries and eat it at your desk. It's now 2:30 and you can't keep your eyes open, so another coffee from down the hall to get you through the rest of the day. Phew, you made it through and it's 6 now. You now need to rush home to pick up your daughter for dance and son for hockey. They've already eaten, but you wait until you get home to eat, and before you know it, you're eating a bun as you whip up dinner. At last, you sit down at 8:30 and eat your leftover steak and potatoes from last night. Today you've had very little vegetables and fruit, about 3 cups of coffee to keep you going. Now, keeping this lifestyle up will lead to packing on the pounds and eventually some type of lifestyle disease. So how do you make change, and how do you make sense of what is a nutrition myth and what is really what you should do? Today, we're going to help you out. Welcome to Revive Life, the show that helps you on your path to wellness. I'm naturopathic Dr. Joël. Remember, one change today can add up to a lifetime of better health. Now, what about that question? Can an apple a day keep the doctor away? Fact or fiction? We'll answer this as well as many other nutritional facts and fictions along our journey today. Our Revive Life quiz for you to ponder through the show today is, number 1, nuts are too fattening, so I shouldn't eat them. Number 2, dieting is the best way to lose those extra pounds. And number 3, margarine is better to use than butter. The month of March is Nutrition Month, and for more information, go to dietitians.ca. And to help create awareness, they have a campaign on busting up food and nutrition myths, such as multigrain is the same as whole grain. Fact or myth? The truth is that they are not the same. Multigrain products do contain different grains, but they may not be a whole grain. A whole grain contains the bran, the endosperm, and the inner germ. The brown or outer covering of the grain contains soluble and insoluble fiber. The endosperm contains starch and is the food energy source, while the inner germ is the most nutritious part of the grain, containing B vitamins, iron, and other important nutrients. By looking for foods rich in the whole grains, you are ensuring that you're getting the most energy and nutrition for your body. The best way to limit salt is to stop using your salt shaker. The truth on this one is that Canadians do consume too much salt, but it's not the salt shaker that is the major culprit. Over 75% of the sodium we consume comes from processed foods, packaged and ready-to-eat foods, and restaurant meals. Only 11% comes from the salt added from cooking at home and the salt that you shake at the table. The rest of the sodium you get occurs naturally in foods. To limit the sodium you take, limit the processed packaged foods, restaurant meals, and focus on the natural flavor in foods. Enhance them using herbs, spices, and lemon or lime zest. Our snacks for you today for the on-the-go grabber: think eating eggs will raise your cholesterol? After all, an egg yolk contains 190 milligrams of cholesterol. This one is a myth. For years, nutrition experts cautioned that eggs were all unhealthy. After all, those gifts from the henhouse are one of the richest sources of cholesterol in the human diet. Since cholesterol plugs up arteries, eggs must raise the risk of heart attacks and strokes, right? Wrong. Large studies show that this theory is full of feathers. The famous Framing Hearts study, which first showed that high blood cholesterol causes heart attacks, found no connection between eating eggs and cardiovascular disease. It turns out that only about 25% of the cholesterol in your blood comes from food. The other 75% is manufactured by the liver, which produces lots of cholesterol when you eat trans fat and saturated or animal fat, something that eggs are low in. Also, eggs contain lecithin, which helps to break down the cholesterol the eggs contain themselves. And finally, eggs also have other nutrients that help heart health, including unsaturated fat, folate, other B vitamins, lutein, and minerals. Our next teaser for you is for those that use freezer favorites. Do you think frozen veggies are less nutritious? If inconvenience is your main excuse for not including veggies at every meal, you're about to run out of excuses. Fact is, frozen vegetables are often as nutritious and sometimes more nutritious than the fresh ones. Why? Because they're flash frozen when they're just picked and at their most nutritious. A nutritional comparison between fresh and frozen broccoli, which is uncooked, showed that frozen broccoli contained a bit more vitamin A, B2, and vitamin C. Plus, the amount of folic acid in frozen veggies is the same up to a year after they're frozen. So chill out and go for frozen. Not only will it save you time, it can also increase your chances of getting enough veggies in your diet. Frozen fruit is also great for making delicious and nutritious smoothies. So to answer the question, can an apple a day keep the doctor away? Fact, here are 5 reasons why. Number 1, apple contains vitamin C. Vitamin C greatly helps your immune system, and a lot of people who lack vitamin C in their diet have poor healing, bruise easily, and have bleeding gums. Number 2, they prevent heart diseases. The reason it can prevent both coronary heart disease and cardiovascular disease is because apples are rich in a flavonoid. Flavonoids are also known for their antioxidant effects. And number 3, they're low in calories. A regular-sized apple has between 70 and 100 calories. Eating an apple a day when craving for candy or chocolate can make the desire disappear, since an apple itself contains sugar, but only gives you 1/4 of the calories. Number 4, apples can help prevent cancer. Notice the plurals. We all know that cancer comes in several forms and in different places. Apples target multiple cancers such as colon, prostate, and breast cancer in women. And lastly, number 5, apples contain phenols, which have a double effect on cholesterol. It helps to reduce bad cholesterol and increases the good cholesterol. They prevent LDL cholesterol from turning into oxidized LDL, a very dangerous form of bad cholesterol, which can be deadly. Our next guest is going to help us with the myth that eating healthy is too time-consuming and more expensive. Welcome, Laura Kratt.
Hello.
Yeah, it's great to have you here, Laura. You're
Thank
a great
you.
food stylist, and you're now getting into photography.
I'm mixing the two together.
Yeah.
Well, my 2 favorite things, taking pictures and food, and then I can combine it, and that's great. So.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So what can we tell our viewers, people who are concerned about eating healthy costing more?
I don't think in the end it doesn't cost more on 2 different levels. First, on the financial level, it doesn't cost more. Fast foods in the end do cost more.
Yeah.
You're spending money going places, the garbage, the waste, everything about fast food costs more in the end. There's so many things so many foods that are so inexpensive, keeping beans or lentils in the house, rice, and then a few vegetables and lean meats with that. You can make a $3 meal with that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay, well, let's start with our first recipe. What are we going to do? Because our feature food is apples.
We're making apples. And again, this is actually a great, inexpensive meal if you want to eat it as a meal. It's kale. We're going to saute kale and apple with a grainy mustard vinaigrette.
Ooh,
okay, you can eat this warm or cold. Alone, or actually if you want to eat it with like chicken or pork, it's a great combination because of that tang. So I've heated up the oil, and actually if you heat it up kind of hot, so I'm just turning it down for a second. If you want to pour that in, what I've done is just torn the kale after I take off the stalk. Now one thing people forget to do with kale is take the stalk off. So what I'm doing, this is my little piece of kale here. I just bend it in half, and with either kitchen scissors or a knife, just cut down the spine, and there you go. You've taken off that tough neck, and then you can either break it with your fingers or chop it with a knife, and there you go.
And that's pretty easy.
That's
now
very
that
easy.
Membrane, can we use that in soup stocks?
Oh yeah,
yeah, just
definitely.
Use up all the vegetables.
Great flavor.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, all we do is saute it.
Yep.
And you know, another thing that people say is eating healthy, of course, is time consuming. What can we give as tips to recommend just helping us out in the kitchen, making it faster?
Yeah, I think it's just getting your mind around the fact that, you're going to have to do a little chopping and a little cleaning.
Yep.
But just like anything, if you keep doing it, it becomes a habit. plan your menus in advance.
Yes,
Plan your
that's the big
shopping in
thing.
advance. Keep things like tomatoes in the cupboard in tins. Keep your frozen vegetables in the freezer.
Yeah, that's always great.
Stock up on the things you need. Olive oil. You know, like I said, the beans, the rice. Just keep those things so that if you need to get one or two items to add to it. And then the second thing is, don't be afraid if a recipe calls for certain ingredients and you don't have all of them. Don't be afraid to make it anyway and just change it around to suit your own palate.
Yeah, be flexible.
Be flexible. Thank you. Okay,
right.
so now we've got nice color in our kale there.
Yes, we do. It's
And what I'm
beautiful.
going to do is we're chopping up our apples. I'm doing in slices here.
Okay.
I've already done these ones. Now that it's all nice and green, I'm first going to add a little cider to the mix. Let that boil down for just a second while I chop my apple. This is a very quick meal. You talk about time consuming. I think this is probably takes about 5 minutes total.
Yeah.
And people will be
fast.
impressed.
Oh, I think so. That's the beauty of this, is that it just takes the creativity to get the idea happening, and then the actual preparation doesn't take much time at all.
There we go.
Okay.
So, put in our apples.
Throw in the
I'm
apples.
gonna put in these apples too.
Okay.
The apples I did in advance. I put a little bit of lemon juice on because apples, when their cells are broken, they go a little bit brown because they release a certain
Right.
chemical.
That's
and
right.
that's okay. Doesn't hurt anybody. It doesn't change the flavor or the taste. It just looks a little brown.
Exactly.
Okay.
And
So I'm
just
going to cover
lemon
that
juice.
up actually now that that's
Okay, we're going to
cooking
let
in
that
a
saute.
wonderful way.
Actually, that brownness, what it is it's the apple protecting itself.
Yeah.
It's releasing natural enzymes to protect itself from further damage. And those enzymes are great for us because they help us break down the food.
Isn't that amazing? I love it.
Okay, so after it's sauteed, what do we do? We're making the dressing.
We are.
Yes, okay.
Now I've measured out a couple tablespoons or teaspoons rather of
Okay.
brown sugar.
Yep.
Or whatever sugar that you like. If you don't have brown
Honey,
sugar,
maple
use
syrup, whatever you
agave,
have.
yep.
Yeah. Okay.
A little bit of grainy mustard.
Yep, that looks great.
A little bit more olive oil, which I have right under here.
Okay, good.
Just a touch.
Yeah. Okay,
Okay.
mix that
More
together.
cider. Mix that all together, and I'm just going to put a little honey in there. Okay.
See, look at that. It just takes minutes to do this. And again, we can see that this meal actually is pennies, really.
Oh,
I
it
mean,
is.
It doesn't cost very much to put this together.
No.
Okay.
And while that's cooking down too, I'm just going to add a little bit of salt to that.
Okay.
Okay. You don't have to much. I've got
Such
a
a
little
beautiful
kosher salt.
color.
Isn't that great?
So we let that
We let
finish
that
sauteing.
finish sauteing, exactly.
Okay, that's all done.
And while that's cooking, we'll get our plate ready. Now,
Okay.
you can serve this in a couple different ways. What I have here, this is a prepared dish.
Yes.
It's so easy. I just took it, put the apples and this kale in the ramekin and turned it over, and there.
Look at
there
how
you go.
beautiful that looks. That's
Yeah.
amazing. This is something that you can easily make in, like, again, 10 minutes. You're done. Everybody's really impressed.
Yep.
Moving on,
Oh,
we have these other beautiful dishes. We're making a Waldorf salad, which are traditional apples. What goes in here?
Okay, Waldorf salad, I keep in my fridge. I eat it constantly. It's so easy. Walnuts,
Okay, walnuts, omega-3s,
celery,
celery.
chopped up parsley,
Okay, good. Calcium.
apples. And I mix my apples. I like lots of different flavors and textures of apples.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Okay.
and you can leave the skin on. If you're buying organic and you care to leave the skin on, there's lots of vitamins in the skin, so
Sure.
leave your skin on.
Yeah.
And then the dressing is so easy. We're gonna add
We add it right to the bowl,
You
or
add
do
it
we
right
mix
to the
it?
bowl. It's
Okay,
fine.
sure. Yeah.
a couple teaspoons of that, so just half of that.
Okay,
Now that's
half of
Greek
that.
yogurt.
Okay.
So we've got our yogurt in there. Mayonnaise, if you prefer to
Sure.
use a little olive oil, you can do that. I like the flavor of the mayonnaise.
Sure. And there's also veggie mayonnaise, which is an
That's
option
true.
for vegetarians.
That's lemon juice.
Okay, lemon juice. That's
Raisins.
easy. Raisins. Wow, that's really
And
easy.
pretty much that is it.
Okay,
Why
love
don't I
it.
give you a bigger spoon for that?
My teeny tiny spoon.
There we go.
Okay.
Move it around with that.
Thank you. Beautiful.
Okay, so this is the basic.
Okay. And then in terms of plating it, I mean, because again, we eat with our eyes, you've done something really beautiful. What do we have here?
What I did was I just hollowed out a couple of apples.
Okay.
And if we're talking about feeding our families, feeding kids, they love it.
That's so
Eating out
beautiful,
anything
Laura.
that is different to them, eating out of an apple to them, their eyes get big, and
Exactly.
it's so easy. Just hollow it
Everybody
out, add a
walked
little
by
bit.
and they looked at that and they're like, ooh, that looks
So
good.
simple. Now what I do, this is the basic.
Okay.
Okay, salt, pepper.
Yes.
If you want to change it up a bit, put a little bit of curry powder in.
Okay.
Your favorite curry
Put it-
powder to your flavoring.
Yes, anti-inflammatory.
Again, healthy meal, inexpensive. Add a little chicken from the night before.
Awesome.
a can of tuna.
Yeah, and you're good to
And
go.
the longer you leave it in the fridge, the better it gets.
Beautiful.
But it won't take more than a day.
Exactly. All right, Laura, thank you so much for
Thank
all of
you.
those wonderful recipes.
Okay, thank you.